So when we have a number in front of the x squared, I can't just look for two numbers that multiply to be -2 and add to be -3 because of this 5. So what I recommend that you do, first of all, make sure it's set equal to 0. Everything's got to be on the same side. And then we're going to create a Punnett square, or a 2x2 box. So go ahead and draw a 2x2 box. And I'm just going to work down these steps up here. Now in your 2x2 box, your first term, your ax squared, it goes in the top left box. So your ax squared goes in the top left corner, and then your c goes in the bottom right corner. Now, just like we did with our examples yesterday, we're going to find two numbers that multiply to be something and add to be something. What they multiply to be, we have to multiply our a and c, -10. So I want two numbers that multiply to be -10 and add to be my b, -3. So what two numbers multiply to be -10 and add to be -3?
-2 positive, like -5 positive.
Yes, -5 and +2. And those numbers you put in the other two boxes along with an x. It doesn't matter which box. So if I put the -5x there and 2x there. So that gets us through step 5. The last step is us actually coming up with the factors. And those factors, we take the GCF of each row and each column. So let's look here. What do 5x squared and -5x have in common? Or what can you divide both of them by? 5. Do they have anything else in common? They have an x in common. So 5x is the GCF. What about this row? 2x and -2. 2. Just 2. What about this column? What do they have in common?
An x.
Just an x. What about the last column? They're both negative. Is there anything that you can divide 5 and 2 by?
No.
No. So we would say 1. Now, if your first box is negative, then what you write out here has to be negative. So -1. It doesn't matter if this one is positive or negative. You only care about the first one. So my factors are 5x plus 2, this outside, and x minus 1. Now we're going to really quick check that to see if we are right. And it takes you a minute or less. Kind of like I've told you to do on the ACT, pick some random number for your x. Give me a number. 2. Store that as x. I always don't do 0 or 1. Type in the first problem, the first equation, and type in your factors. And if you get the same number, you did it correct. That did not probably even take me a minute. So it's worth it to use that time. Now, yesterday, we got our factors really quickly. Okay, that was really quick. What did we do after we got our factors? Set them equal to 0. And that's what gives us the x-intercepts. So I'm going to do 5x plus 2 equals 0. How would you solve that?
Minus 2.
Mm-hmm. So 5x equals negative 2. Then what? Divide by 5. So x equals negative 2/5. And then I also have x minus 1 equals 0. So x equals 1. So if I were to graph this in my calculator, it should cross at both the x-axis at both of those places. X squared minus Yep. So there's 1, and now that's about negative 2/5. Let's do a few more examples before you start asking questions. So we'll start with the box. Go ahead and fill in the two things in your box. Your ax squared and your c. Three x squared goes in the top, negative 30 goes in the bottom. So I want two numbers that multiply to be what? Yes. 3 times negative 30 is negative 90. So two numbers that multiply to be negative 90 and add to be negative 13. Now when you've got a big number like that, maybe you can get it right off, maybe you can't. But if you think about it for 20 seconds and you don't know, go to the side and create a table where you write down everything that multiplies to be 90. Like 1, and start with 1. Always start with 1. 1 and 90. And you could do 90 divided by 2. 2 and 45. 90 divided by 3. 90 divided by 4, oh, that's not a whole number. 90 divided by 5. Keep going until you're like, oh, that's how I can get negative 13. Stop me if I get something.
5 and 18.
Yes. The 5 and the 18.
Negative 18 positive.
Yep. So because it's a negative 90, I've got to have one positive and one negative number. And so 5 plus negative 18 is negative 13. So 5 and negative 18 are the two numbers. You don't necessarily have to always do this, but it helps, especially on those bigger numbers. So we have 5x in one box, negative 18x in the other box. What questions do you have up until this part? Anything? Okay. So then comes the GCF. We're going to get our factors. Let's look at this top row. What do those two terms have in common?
X.
Just an X. Good. What about this bottom row?
3 and X.
They don't both have an X, and 3 will go into both of them, but it's not the biggest. We want the greatest factor. 6. So it's 6. Okay. What about the first column here?
3x.
3x. And this... Oh, wait. What did I miss here? It needs to be a -6, because my first one is negative. If your first term is negative in your row or your column, your factor out here needs to be negative. Okay, and then what about up here? This column? 5. X minus 6, 3x plus 5. It doesn't matter which one you put first. I'm going to check that. See if I get matching numbers. Yep, they match. And then you set each factor equal to 0, and those are your x-intercepts. If I subtract 5 and then divide by 3. Any questions? Number 7. Go ahead and start your box. Should have a 6x squared and a -4. So we need two numbers that multiply to be -24, because there's my -24, 6 and -4. And those same two numbers add to be 5.
8, -3.
+8 and -3. Very good. What do 6x squared and 8x have in common? They have the x, but they also have 2. You can also divide both of them by 2. So 2x. What would I write out here for -3x and a -4? -1. Good. What about 6x squared and -3x? 3x. It does not need to be negative because my top number is not negative, just the bottom one. Okay. And then what about 8x and -4? 4. Okay. 2x minus 1, 3x plus 4. So if I get 2x minus 1 equals 0, I add 1 to get 2x equals 1, and then divide to get x equals 1/2. And then 3x plus 4 equals 0. 3x equals -4. I subtracted 4. And then dividing by 3 gives me -4/3. Now that we've done a few examples, the process, you just follow the steps, is we okay? A little bit?
We shall see.
I think we'll make it.
Think so. Let's do number 8. Go ahead and get your box completely filled out. So get all 4 terms in your box. You might need to make a table for this one. What 2 numbers multiply to be -60 and add to be 11?
-15.
Close. The 4 needs, oh wait, no, that was right. Sorry, I didn't write the negative there. Yep. So it is -15 and 4. Any questions so far? What is the GCF of 5x squared and -15x?
5x.
5x, good. What about 4x and -12? 4. 5x squared and 4x?
1x.
Just x, yep. And you can put 1x, you don't have to put the 1. -15x and -12? -3. Excellent. Five x plus 4 equals 0. We solve and get one x-intercept at -4/5. And then the other one we get x equals 3. I want you Now this, if you can't see it, this is a positive 3x squared on the next page. Number 9, it's a positive 3. So work on numbers 9 and 10 by yourself. So I'm going to work out number 9. Did everybody get at least this far? Your box. Number 9 should have x-intercepts at positive 2 and positive 2/3. And then number 10 What two numbers multiply to be 44 and add to be 45? 44 and 1. So we'd have 11x and 1, x and 4. And this one would be negative 1 over 11. And x equals negative 4. Now numbers 11 and 12 I want you to do, but I'm just going to come check them off on your paper.